Walk down any candy aisle and you'll see dozens of brands fighting for your money. Snickers, KitKat, Twix, Milky Way. They look like rivals, made by dozens of different companies. They're not. Nearly every chocolate bar on Earth is secretly controlled by just 5 companies. 2 of these bars are the same recipe, made by 2 different companies who legally can't stop each other. One was invented so soldiers' chocolate wouldn't melt in the heat. One was named after a horse, and one hides a secret animal on its box that most people stare at their whole lives and never notice. Let's unwrap it. We'll start with the single best-selling chocolate bar in the world, Snickers. Inside it's nougat, then caramel, then peanuts, wrapped in milk chocolate. A huge hit of energy in one bar, which is exactly why it sells. It's made by Mars, a company owned by one of the richest and most secretive families on the planet. They almost never give interviews, they don't put their faces on the products, and for decades most people had no idea the family even existed. And their most famous bar? It wasn't named after anything glamorous, it was named after the Mars family's favorite horse. That's the whole story. One of the most recognized products on Earth named after a horse, which happened to die the same year the bar came out. Milky Way came from the same family. And it comes with a myth almost everyone believes. People assume it's named after the galaxy. It isn't. Back in the 1920s, the founder's son had an idea. Make a candy bar that tasted like a malted milk milkshake, the most popular drink in America at the time. The bar was named after that milkshake, not the stars. It was basically a milkshake you could carry in your pocket, and it worked so well it became the best-selling bar in the country and made the Mars family their first fortune. Now the smartest idea on this entire list. Chocolate has one great enemy, heat. For decades, candy sales collapsed every single summer because bars melted into a useless puddle. Nobody had solved it. Then, during the Spanish Civil War, that same Mars son saw soldiers eating little chocolate pellets coated in a hard sugar shell. The shell protected the chocolate. It didn't melt in their hands even in the heat of battle. He realized, put chocolate inside a candy shell, and suddenly you can sell it all year round. Even to an army. But there was a problem. Chocolate was being rationed for the war, and Mars couldn't get enough. So he made a deal with Bruce Murray, the son of the president of Hershey, his family's biggest rival. Together, Mars and Murray. 2 men, 2 surnames. That is literally where the 2 M's on the candy come from. And they were made for soldiers first. Heat-proof, easy to carry, perfect for war rations. Soldiers came home addicted to them, and the candy exploded across the country. Then Mars quietly bought Murray out of the business. The Hershey side walked away with nothing but a single letter left on the wrapper forever. Twix is also secretly Mars. And you may have seen the famous joke, the ad campaign about a left Twix factory and a right Twix factory that supposedly split apart and became bitter enemies, making the exact same bar. It's completely fake. A marketing gag Mars invented. It's one bar, one company, one factory line, but it worked so well that people genuinely argue about which side is better. The real secret of Twix is the biscuit at the bottom. That's what makes it snap instead of squish. And it's why a Twix survives being thrown in a bag far better than a soft bar does. KitKat was born in England in 1935 after a factory worker literally dropped a note in the suggestion box asking for a chocolate bar a man could take to work. 3 layers of wafer, a thin chocolate coat snapped into fingers. The name came from an old 1700s London dining club. But here's where it gets strange. Everywhere on Earth, KitKat is made by Nestlé, the Swiss giant. Everywhere, except the United States, where it's made by Hershey instead. Why? In 1970, the original British owner signed a deal letting Hershey make KitKat in America, permanently with no end date. So when Nestlé later bought the whole brand, they were stuck. In the US, Nestlé owns the name but is legally banned from making it. Hershey makes it instead. It's the same bar, made by 2 rival companies, and because their recipes differ, a KitKat genuinely tastes different depending on which country you eat it in. And in Japan, KitKat went insane. Over 300 different flavors have been released, from wasabi to sweet potato, partly because the name sounds like a Japanese phrase meaning you will surely win. It quietly became a good luck charm students take into exams. Speaking of Hershey, the man, Milton Hershey, didn't just build a chocolate bar. He built an entire town around his factory, houses, shops, a school, even a park, all for his workers. The town is still called Hershey to this day. And here's the part almost nobody knows. Milton and his wife couldn't have children, so they took their entire chocolate fortune and founded a school for orphans. When he died, he left nearly everything he owned to that school, which means even now, a trust for orphaned kids owns the controlling share of the Hershey Company. Every Hershey bar sold quietly helps fund it. One more thing. If you've ever tasted an American Hershey bar and thought it was oddly sour or tangy compared to European chocolate, you're not imagining it. Hershey's process treats the milk in a way that produces a slightly sour compound. People who grew up with it find it comforting. People who didn't often find it strange. It's not a flaw, it's the exact taste of an entire country's childhood. Toblerone from Switzerland is famous for one thing: its shape, those triangular peaks. Most people assume the shape copies the Matterhorn, the famous Swiss mountain. Maybe, but the founder's own sons said it actually came from a row of dancers forming a human pyramid at the end of a Paris stage show. But here's the secret hiding in plain sight. Look closely at the mountain printed on the box. Tucked inside it is a bear, standing up on its hind legs. Why a bear? Because Toblerone was born in the Swiss city of Bern, whose symbol is the bear. It's been hidden in that logo for over 100 years, and most people never see it. And the name is just a mashup. The founder's surname, Tobler, plus Terone, the Italian word for the nougat inside. Last one, the gold ball, Ferrero Rocher. A whole roasted hazelnut, in a creamy center, in a crisp wafer sphere, coated in chocolate and chopped nuts. It's made by Ferrero, the same intensely private Italian family behind Nutella and Kinder, a family that became one of the richest in Europe entirely on chocolate. And how those flawless spheres are made is deliberately hidden. Ferrero guards its machines so tightly that much of the process is a genuine industrial secret. They design and build their own equipment in-house, so no outside supplier ever learns how it's done. Even the hazelnut supply is such a priority that Ferrero buys a huge slice of the entire world's hazelnuts every year. And the fancy name? Rocher is French for rock. It was named after a boulder at a famous French holy site. A hazelnut wrapped in gold foil named after a rock. So there it is. 8 bars that feel like fierce rivals, quietly controlled by just a handful of giants. A horse, a milkshake, a melt-proof army candy. A bar 2 enemies are forced to share. A town built for orphans, and a bear hiding on a box. The chocolate aisle was never a competition. It's a family tree. If you'll never look at the candy shelf the same way again, hit subscribe. Tell me in the comments which one surprised you most, and what I should explain next.